A very good day to all of you. Thank you so much for finding your precious time to become part of episode number one of Called Out Podcast Experience. Now, in this episode, the first thing that we are going to discuss is the marriage bill. The first thing that we are going to discuss is the marriage bill. But before we get into it, allow me just to do a little bit of introduction. For the purpose of introduction, my name is Ntsikelelo Isaac Nqonga. I am, of course, the podcast host, the podcast commentator, or the podcast pundit, if you would like. Now, we have gathered a number of people in Called Out Ministry in order for us just to be able to discuss this particular issue. We've taken questions, we've taken comments, contributions, and inputs from a wide range of people. There was no unique framework of selecting people's opinions. We just said the people that are there, we just want to hear their opinions. Of course, I always said that it is primarily because we want the voice of the church to be heard, secondarily, because we want to present it in a secular sense, and then thirdly, because should we not speak about these issues and then raise awareness and education concerning these matters, we are going to have many people being left out in society. I just need to do a little bit of background in as to why are we discussing this. First of all, uh, the marriage bill under the leadership, of course, of the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, um, it has been in review. There's been a marriage bill, open square bracket B43 uh, dash 2023 close square bracket. It has been in review. It has been moving from province to province, from perhaps town to town, city to city, and then there has been a reading of that and taking of contributions and ideas, and of course, it has a wide representation. A wide representation. Personally, when I first of all thought about the idea of the review, because the review had taken place in Kimberley, and I think it was on a morning. I'll just look for the post and then we will make it available on the screen for us to be able to see the date of the post and for us to be able also to see the time of the poster. First of all, I was asking myself, majority of the working class, which also becomes the majority of the so-called educated class, they might have not got access to be able to go deliver their own contribution since they are at spaces of work. And I also understand on the other side that it would have been difficult to do it in the late afternoons because of all the living situations and arrangements. However, people got chance to be able to go there. We had people, in fact, also one of the persons that have been that is a part of the community and also part of the church, went there, also had his own opinion rendered rather. And then we'd also play a little bit of that. I think we should just play a little bit of that.
Let's start with this thing of the age group. To say a person must marry at the age of 18. Who is this person who is marrying? A boy of 18 years is just being from school. So this bill is actually saying the lady, because ladies will be married. So it's putting a lot of pressure on our ladies. That's why today we have a scenario where the young children, they get married to older people.
All right, so that was the clip that was taken from SABC on downloaded from there and therefore played here, uh, showing us the contribution of Mr. Richard Combrink. And we are as much grateful for his contribution. It's a thought provoking contribution. And beyond thought provoking contribution, we also need to assimilate uh, the singleness of the voice of the church, the voice of the gospel. And that is why we created this platform so that we can be able to deliberate on a number of issues. And so, without any waste of time, let us go to episode number one that we shot here at Called Out. And I trust that you are going to be blessed by this. Until we meet again, let us go into it.
A very good morning to everybody that is part of our discussion. My name is Ntsikelelo Nqonga, and I want to make you welcome to Called Out Podcast Experience. It is a division of Called Out Production that deals with being able to host different opinions from a biblical, from a secular perspective, in order that when the discussion goes on, we are able to achieve shaping our society the way God desires for it to be shaped. So today we have a wonderful guest. So I would like for our dear guest just to introduce himself to, first of all, our on-ground audience and also our online audience. And I the Lord bless you in a special way. Amen.
Good morning, and good morning to all the viewers and everyone who is participating. We are in the year 2025, and this is the month of August, and we're here to discuss some valuable information concerning what is happening currently in the country.
All right. Please just introduce yourself to our dear audience.
The name is Richard Compring.
All right, wonderful. We have, in the month of August, the main subject that most people deal with, including us, even as a church, is to deal with the subject woman. In order for us to discuss what is a woman and our understanding of what a woman can do in society, can do in the home, can do in the church. But also alongside what has been discussed across our nation is the marriage bill. It has been under review. So for the sake of those ones that could not be in the place where the review was taking place, I saw it important for us maybe just to extract one element and perhaps to discuss if it is possible for us to deliver our own perspective regarding the contribution of the marriage bill. So without any waste of time, there is a scriptural background in terms of what a woman is. But I want us just to have a discussion what perhaps Mr. Richard will just explain to us his understanding in terms of women and how should they position themselves in society, especially in 2025.
Well, if one looks at a woman, generally we look at the gender first. We say the female part of a person. That's a woman and how we describe it. But when we look down into, I also looked into this marriage bill thing, is to say to us that even children are viewed as adults because of what is being contained within the bill. To say at a certain age, you are no more a child, then you become an adult, of which society is trying to keep us there. But we know that there is no such thing. We know a child has a certain age limit, and what a marriage bill is trying to cover as part of it, it's not what a woman is. It's still a child.
When I was looking at for example, the dictionary, it was saying a woman is an adult female. An adult female. So I think it's also important for us to define the concept. What does it mean to be an adult?
Yes, you must be of age. According to South African society, then it was age 21, and by age 21 they had certain functions that they gave you. But because of society has been governed by this thing called democracy, where an 18-year-old is allowed to vote, now they are abstracting that age group. And that is my understanding. That's why they are trying to bring it to that level, where a person can decide on who to vote for. So they also want to give you decisions on your own life in view of a marriage.
I think it's very much important for us to maybe get a contribution from someone. How do you define a woman? And how do you define an adult? You can come with an age bracket perhaps. I think we should accept people to be adults at the age of 18 or at the age of 21. 18 or 21, and Why? Are we looking at the biological development? Are we looking at biological associated with some cultural aspects to it? Or what are we doing? Because it's important for us to answer that question as a people. Because if we are failing to answer that question, we are going to accept any standard of definition in terms of a woman, and also any standard of definition in terms of an adult.
Well, if one looks into the concept of how people want to describe it, it's because they want to legislate it, they want to have a law on it.
Mm-hmm.
So one has to guard that if it's law, then we know that you cannot engage it tomorrow morning because it's law, it must be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to guard to say, what do we want to see as law?
Mm-hmm.
If a certain age group becomes law, it's not just for accepting it into society,
Mm-hmm.
but to say when it is law, we expect this from this particular persons, and this is how far we can go.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at what society has been done to people in general, when it comes to the use of cigarettes, the use of alcohol, they would say not to sell to people under the age of 18. Meaning, for them, if you are 18, you can engage in such things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they have a product to sell to a certain group of people. And they know at a young age, people are inquisitive. They want to be part and parcel of a certain thing. Now, we don't want people to jump stage. I have a serious problem when it comes to the marriage bill.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you say to an 18-year boy, he must get married, he's still in school, he's still in matric, it's his last year, and he will not have the material means to marry.
Mm-hmm.
So this law, for me, mostly for the girl child.
Mm-hmm.
And this will lead to a later stage where we see a girl child being exposed to abuse, because now the young lady will have to run after the man with resource.
Mm-hmm.
Because an 18-year-old does not have the resource to marry or to maintain marriage.
It's a disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage to the boy. So for me, I think this law is going to exploit a lot of women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope did you get it? That's very powerful, because if you begin to look at it, an 18-year-old boy does not have the resources, and then the 18-year-old girl has the resources, has the means. I mean, she does not also have the resources, but she can marry anyone, because now she's accepted as an adult at the age of 18. It means she can marry anyone 19 up to even 65 years. There is no limit to who she can marry, because she now begins to marry into a resource, because what she does not have is a resource. It means when she comes into marriage, she looks for resource. So it's targeting the female child in that sense. So that's why I say, when we come to perhaps discussing this, the foundation must be, according to you as a believer, or you as someone who is just standing on the balance for the society and for Christianity, how do you define a woman? What is your definition of woman? And if it is an adult female, what is your definition of adult? How should we accept or what should the criteria be, the age be for someone to be called adult? Does it make sense?
And it will ask one question at one stage. If you say a person must marry at the age of 18, how mature is that person? Because for me, being an adult means you are matured. Psychologists teaches us that the mind or the brain of a person is fully grown by the age of 24. Mm-hmm. So the person is still growing when you're 18. That's why you are schooling. That's why you can go to varsities, you can go to any place, because you are developing. Mm-hmm. So a developing mind or a small mind is something that is teachable, is something that you can work on. Now, an 18-year-old taking a responsibility of a household, of a man, or all those burdens that goes with marriage. For me, I think it's really abuse. Mm-hmm. I think there's no justice done to the child, the girl child in this instance. Because for me, it's still a child. It's still a person that is teachable, it's a person that you can work with. So if you say to me, an 18-year-old must get married, this bill is not serving, for me, it's not serving the boy child, it's serving to abuse women. And in the old traditions, it has happened in other ethnic groups where we have seen that women have been abused. They have been given off into marriages at an early stage. And that is why some societies, they use women to dodge their poverty level of life. They use them. That's why even understanding why people get married, why there is customary ways of marrying, people abuse that level because for them it's a transaction. It's not to say we want a person to be happy when they get married and get into marriage.
Alright, before I give somebody an opportunity, I also find two contradiction. Contradiction number one. You can't say to somebody, do my treat.
Yes.
And also get married.
Yes.
Because some other people, let's say you fail at school, it means you're going to finish your matric at the age of 19, and you are eligible for marriage at the age of 18. That's a contradiction. Contradiction number two that I find. You can't say we want to empower women independence, and yet you do not liberate her to pursue her academic journey. Most degrees or most diplomas, they take 3 or 4 years to get. Yes. So if you add 3 or 4 years to 18, that will give you 21 or 22. We have not yet spoken about a process of perhaps internship or employment. So I feel like if you're also saying you want women to enter into marriage, you must not contradict what you are professing in society. You cannot go out and say, I want women to be independent. And you are creating a platform where you are saying, at the same time, there is a loophole to exploit that independence that you are guaranteeing to women.
One element that also has a contradiction within the very same law is to say, at what age do I stop to listen to counseling or guidance from my parents? Because if you say to a child who's 18 years, he or she is capable of a household and be independent, it means you have already spent enough time to make this person an adult. But as far as we are concerned, at age 18, it is only then you start to realize and have self-identification. So it's too early. For me, you cannot just start to get self-identification because society has treated 18-year-olds as teenagers. At what age do you stop to be a teenager if at 18 you can get married? Then at what age do you stop to be a teenager? For me, you're still a teenager and you need to outgrow the stage of being a teenager and then become an adult. And for me, an early adult start at least at age 24, where psychology has taught us that the mind has been fully developed.
So let us just open up for a question or please, Brazil, please just assist us. If you have a question, you can ask. If you perhaps want to make a comment, you can also make. Let us start first with one person. We are doing this again so that the church must have a voice even in secular settings. Is it making sense? Thank you so much. Please just introduce yourself to everyone and then you may ask your question. Or you may bring your comment.
Even with the chair, even if Pastor in the protocol observed. I want to ask, are you saying women should marry at the age of 18? Is it the right way? In again, one of the reasons, that's actually one of the reasons that we get, if you say women should marry at 18, that's one of the reasons we get a lot of divorces. And again, the other one is, what are the resources of a woman, if I may ask?
Yes, you can hold the mic that side so that when you pass it out, I will give my contribution maybe for 1 minute and I will also pass on for another contribution. What we are doing now, we are discussing the marriage bill that has been going around the entire South Africa. According to one of the clauses here, or one of the points, the point is that the parties that want to get involved into marriage, they must be 18 years of age in order for them to enter into marriage. What we are finding as difficult to accept as logical is the age 18. Because it's for example, for me, it was a contradiction that the person is still at school and then the person is eligible for marriage. So that to me is a contradiction. So I think we need to revisit that 18-year-old thing. The second issue that I found was that if you want a woman to be independent and you are creating a loophole for her to be dependent almost for the rest of her life, because most marriages, they are, if not long term, they are until the end. So if a woman is exploited early, that means she might be exploited for long term or almost until the end. So that is why I say we need to redefine what is an adult in South Africa, so that at least we can move age of marriage from 18, perhaps 21. But I think a choice number for me personally would be 23. Because I'm looking at least the person being able to acquire a diploma and be able to acquire or at least a degree and must have at least started a process of entering into a professional space. Then such a person who is able to resource themselves to get a place to stay, who is able to feed themselves, who's responsible and accountable to a company or to a system they are working for. Such a person has elements I can call elements of an adult. This makes sense. I will also just pass on to attend to that question.
Well, one has to wonder why the bill is trying to address an 18-year-old to say to get married. For me, it's abuse. It can't be. I feel they are wrong to say that. Let's start with why people get married. You want to be happy, you want to be developing and everything. And I've never seen people getting, being disadvantaged by marrying late. But marrying wrong, that one is going to affect you in the long run. So it's not at what age you should be married, as if you must be at earlier as can be. For me, even if you can delay it, so that you must be well prepared and get into it and understand it. We are discussing it from a biblical perspective. The Bible says, if a man finds a wife, not a girlfriend, not a child, if you find a wife, at what age do you become a wife? That is important. So if the woman does not feel as a wife as yet, and yet you want to get married, you run the risk of tomorrow losing and will have more divorces. I agree with you, my sister, that the divorce rate is not going to get lower. The bill is not addressing longevity of the marriage. It just try to fast track the earlier marriage of a young child. And for me, because I already see that it does not assist for the boy child, it is in relation to the girl child. It will turn women into objects that needs to be brought into marriages. I don't know, do you get it? Because for me, a woman will feel that I'm using my marriage for survival, and we don't want that.
Yes, you may please just pass on the mic. Yes, you can make your final contribution and then we'll take another contribution, please. Yes, you can.
Woman, I get what passagne mosadi o na mosadi at the age of 23, but you get them at the age of 34, 40, they still women.
Yes.
They still not women, so what I mean.
No, they are still women. The issue is, do you think they are women at the age of 18? All right, thank you, my sister. And now we're going to go to our sister. Please identify yourself and then the question or the comment that you have. And then from there, you don't have to turn it funny. You don't have to turn it. God bless you. Yes.
I think it is more of a comment that maybe opens up for a discussion. So regarding the young girls getting married at 18, or rather both of them at the minimum age of 18, when we look back into history, even biblically, even younger girls would get married at an early age around their teens. So I think that the culture form then was that women, for example, were not allowed really to get educated or to pursue careers. So they were culture that a man is a provider. So the earlier you get married, the better. And then men were conditioned to know that they would be providers. So it was a form of security for the woman to pursue marriage. When we compare that time and now, we have more opportunities and more doors are open. We are allowed to work. We are able to purchase land and all of that, which are things that were not available to us in years back. So I think that because of the shifting in culture, because things are changing, that also should change because of now our security, even as women, also relies on us. We are able to say that I'm going to work for myself and not necessarily on a man. And then I just wanted to read something that I see here, just touching on that. It says that the South African Marriage Act, specifically Act 25 of 1961, does not automatically allow individuals to marry at the age of 18. It allows minors to marry with consent under certain conditions. While the Act sets the minimum age for marriage at 18 for both boys and girls, it allows for marriages of minors with the written permission of the Minister of Home Affairs in cases where the Minister deems it desirable. The Act makes provisions for minors to marry under specific circumstances, requiring consent and written permission from the minister. Now, on a comment on that one, what would your opinion be? Because other people allow young children or those under the age of 18 or those at the age of 18 to marry because of, let's say, a family agreement or because of cultural reasons. So how do we even, besides society, how do we influence even cultures? Other people may say that according to our culture, young women get married at this age. This is how we have been doing things. So how do we influence even that beyond society? Because I can say society as a whole, most people might even disagree with marrying at the age of 18 because women have more opportunities to become independent. But I think it's more of a cultural thing where growing up, women did not have as many opportunities, so the security was in men. So now with the culture shifting, how do we influence that?
All right, this is why, for example, the conversation has to go on. Because conversation is just not empty talk. It is an education process. You understand? But first of all, as a believer, I think the most important thing is to teach a person concerning their identity. Number 2, concerning their ability. Number 3, concerning their purpose. Number 4, concerning their destiny. So when a person is being educated in this respect, the person knows what has been invested, what has been put on them, and that there is need for them to make it manifest. And therefore, their choices become more informed. A choice, because the issue with, for example, making law getting married at the age of 18 is to likewise to engineer. You are socially crafting a way for people to make that thing a way of living. That law becomes like a cultural structure for people to live around it. You see that? When you begin to remove something as law, or something is not law, even if there are other people who may be doing that thing, because it's not law, it does not become a norm to society. What my issue is with what you read, including with what is written here, is that we are making it a way of South Africa, a way of life in South Africa. You understand? Because something is wrong does not mean we have to make it a way of life. So that is why it's an education process that a person goes through. When they arrive at the end of that education process, it becomes easier for them to number the opportunities that are given to them and determine which ones strategically so it's important to exploit at what time and what season of their life. Not for people to feel like, I cannot wait, because women have been stigmatized. If a woman does not marry early, it's either she's ugly, she's a bad person, she has done something wrong, men don't want, and things like that. That also needs a point of redefinition. I don't know if it is making sense. I will just give for another contribution to that.
Well, you have very right that the minister have certain rights and everything. This bill does not address ethnic groups or culture. It addresses women getting married. In other words, some of our cultures, whether you a Mutswana or Muntebela or what, your way of doing things in your culture is not addressed here. Here they address marriages of male-female, male-male, female-female. We haven't touched the other side of the polygamous and polyandry and everything that is being addressed. We're just touching on one element, which is the age that they're trying to introduce to us. So there's a serious problem to say, if the minister has rights over my children, he not being from my culture, not understanding where I come from, and he still implements certain things, that is where we have a difference. Because as a people, we have our own way of life, let alone that we are a country that is pro-Christian. They are also trying to address here issues of Islamic marriages. We have not discussed the type of marriages that they are talking about. There's a lot that needs to be coming out of this bill and to digest. But here we are discussing age. And because it's Women Month, a woman, and when are you the right woman, at what age and everything. So the bill is not addressing holistically everything that we have a problem with. Because some of the things that are lacking here, we still need to delve deep into them.
I hope it's making sense.
Yes.
At the point of our definition today is age, adulthood, womanhood, maturity. So let us take another. Did you exhaust your comment query? Parazine, if she has exhausted, please, Chef Mamodi, we're going to do a closing point. But are we getting what we are trying to capture today? If we can define what is a woman and what is an adult, please just introduce yourself and then you will deliver. Yes.
Greetings. My name is Nqonga, and as a woman or as a sister, I would define a woman as, I'm just here to comment, as somebody, as an adult female, like it was explained earlier. I agree with it, and also I wanted to comment on the age. I agree that women should not get married at the age of 18. That is just my opinion. And according to experience as a woman who is married, at age 18, if I think back, I was not even thinking about marriage. My concern was education at that time, because I was just finishing school and I wanted to figure out where should I apply. I was concentrated on applying for schools, seeking for employment, all those things. I wanted to develop myself to a point of being a woman. Amen. I hope it makes sense.
Amen.
Before even I can think of getting married, I was focused on finishing school and focusing on my career. What do I want to become? So at age 18, most women, most girls, most teenagers are focusing on what they want to become or who they want to become instead of who they want to spend the rest of their lives with. So now I agree that women should not get married at the age of 18 years. I agree that they should first figure out education and other things before marriage. That is my comment.
Okay. Thank you so much for the comment and the contribution to our session. I actually expected another definition of adult when you were speaking. Adult is someone who has reached the final stage of biological development. Someone who does not still need to develop, phase into another phase biologically. So once somebody still has to phase into another stage, biological, psychological, academical, we cannot define such a person as an adult. An adult is someone who is at the final stage of their biological, psychological, emotional development. Because until we have a proper way of defining terms, we're not able to, we'll just be playing with language. We're not able to make actually enough contribution. So I think it must not only be language, there must be a common dictionary for what is a woman, what is an adult, is adult 18 years old, or is adult, what is adult to us? Yes.
In closing, I would just want to make this contribution to say, marriage starts with God, and He has a blueprint for marriages. And since He has the blueprint for who should marry, where should marry, we would always want to make reference to the first marriage that He made. When you look at the instances where Adam and Eve came together and God brought them together, they were adults, they were not children. And by then, they had responsibilities because Adam was already given responsibilities over everything that was on the earth. And the woman was just coming to help. So when a woman gets married or gets into a marriage, my concept of marriage would be she's going to join somebody who's having a purpose, a job, or a vision of reaching something in life and supporting that vision. So for her to get married at an age where she's still a child, she will get carried away by emotions. So she needs to be emotionally mature. She needs to be psychologically mature to make the correct call to say, now I'm getting married to this particular vision or to this purpose. So that at the end of the day, when she gets married, then she gets married into what she was called for, not what society desires her to be. But this is her call, not society's call. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We want to acknowledge everybody that came. We trust that the contribution was effective and thought-provoking. Most importantly, let us continue to not be stuck in a small vein. Continue questioning societal norms, questioning laws, looking at the loopholes, and looking at their long-term effect on us, on the next generation that is coming. And when we are able to do that, we're able to make a meaningful contribution to society. This was Called Out podcast experience and content production. Thank you so much for joining us. Until we meet again, God bless you. Bye-bye.
And so I trust that you've been blessed by the episode. There are, of course, many cases that have not yet been decided on. But the questions and the concept definitions are extremely important. And so if you found it impactful and effective, you can contribute with your comments, with your reactions, what you like, by also following, subscribing, so that the next time we have any other podcast available, you are going to be the first person to find out about that. Until we meet again, God bless you. Bye bye.